Hey everyone, welcome back to the Insight Podcast. I'm your host Seth, the CMO at Site, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Mikey, the CEO. Today we're diving into a topic that I hear many people or many aspiring e-commerce owners ask: what platform should I start on? Should I hire a web development team? Should I custom make it? Should I go on Spotify? Should I go on Shopify? Should I go on Magento? Should I go on Squarespace? Should I go on WordPress? And so on and so forth. There's a million options out there. What's the right choice for you? Welcome to the show, Mikey. Let's kick things off.
So they shouldn't go on Spotify, but so as you said,
There is actually, in fact, there is a Spotify store now. So my statement actually holds. You can sell merchandise and stuff
right.
on.
We'll cover you and say you're right. Right. So I think there's two types of options, and then we'll dig into each one. We'll further dig into each one. So the first decision to make, and I don't think it's only a decision for a new store. It's an existing store. They're always thinking, are they on the right platform? Should they change and so on? But the first decision to make is, should you go custom or bespoke, or should you go one of the
Templatized
type options?
Yeah.
And bespoke and custom are really their own category, meaning that there's no real so like Shopify that defines them. And templated ones really, I'd say the main ones that one does and can consider are Shopify, WordPress, and if you're an e-commerce store, the extension is WooCommerce, Squarespace, like you mentioned, Wix, and do we have anything else? Anything out?
Wix.
Kind of it.
I'm trying to. It probably is, but yeah, those are the big ones.
Yeah. So I think we don't have to spend much time on it. Let's just kind of get rid of, for me, the wrong choice, almost no matter what, is custom. Custom's a terrible choice, and we work on so many custom sites, and it's like when we started them, and we want to pull our hair out initially because custom sites require custom developers, and therefore they're expensive to start up, they're expensive to change, and expensive to run. So just from an expense point of view, they're always not 2 times worse any templated site. They're like 20 to 30 times worse. Second problem, which kind of comes with that, is the time to change stuff takes forever. We've just been working on a site with someone, and something which in WordPress or Shopify takes probably 3 minutes has taken them 3 months to try and resolve because they're more complicated. It's not because they've got a bad developer, it's just because they're complicated. So time and speed of changes is terrible. And third thing, I'd say from a marketing point of view, this is where we selfishly come in, is when we're trying to track stuff properly, easily, to make sure that GA4 or the Facebook pixel is mirroring what's happening on the back end correctly, there's so much harder and so much more prone to problems. So, I'd love to hear your view. Is there any reason one would ever go custom over templated?
I was going to ask you the exact same question because I'm pulling out my hair here thinking, no, there's no real reason anyone would unless you had to, unless you needed all these custom features.
No,
or
we don't have
if
to.
you were,
So that's what I often hear. The excuse is we did it because we had to, but you can customize any templated site anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I suppose I'm going to say the only reason you should be allowed to is if you're a subdivision of a big entity like a global brand or someone along those lines, and you have to. That's the have to that I'm thinking about, because otherwise every single
Exactly.
Because otherwise every single other one is completely customizable. Like recently I've been playing around with we use WP Bakery on site, for example, and if I want something custom, I can actually go and code it using different AI. I can use ChatGPT, for example, to code exactly what I want. Or you could get a web developer to actually code exactly what you wanted. All these things, these tools are, you have the ability to actually go and customize them. So rather go and build with that rigidity that they already have and the systems that they have, and just make everyone's lives 100 times easier. And stop wasting your money.
Let's actually not pass on. You actually mentioned something that's very important, the rigidity. So, wow, I've seen sites not so often. I don't think I've actually had one circumstance when I've seen a custom site work 100% of the time. Whether it be a checkout problem, whether it be this product doesn't allow for this delivery in this area, they're just so much harder to get to work. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy to think that your great developer can compete with Shopify's 20,000 people that are sitting on this every day and have built on what 20,000 guys have built on before. Like, it makes no sense. But
Yeah.
let's move on. Let's
So
talk
ultimately,
about,
if you want problems, build custom.
yeah, that's the reason to do it otherwise. Um,
Great. Yeah. The other
all right, so
ones, the
let me start
templates.
with the category 7 and then let's get your view on it. So I view the other ones as beginner, commonplace, and lastly, like let's say expert. And maybe you'll tell me
Okay.
if you disagree with that. So beginner, I would say like Wix and Squarespace, the do-it-yourself sites, quite easy to set up oneself, but probably lacking in functionality and ability, and I think like design view. Commonplace, you have Shopify and WordPress or WooCommerce in the e-commerce space. Um, and then like expert or big sites, you'll have Magento and like BigCommerce. Not that popular in South Africa, but
Yeah.
it's probably common for big e-commerce sites. Would you agree that with that categorization?
At the top of the scale, I would. I would bring Shopify down to beginner almost, because they really are pushing it that it is a beginner friendly site. They've got lots of resources to use the tool. And yeah, even with all of it, like I think the beginner and the intermediate, it's very blurred because it's how you use the tool essentially. Like you could push a Squarespace site to be an intermediate, and then maybe, and even a pro. You can push these as far as you want to learn with them, like as the platform if you're developing it as your owner, or you can hire someone to push it even further for you. So I think all of these tools, they kind of, obviously each of them have their own nuances, and each of them are, have their differences in why you choose one or the other, pricing or features or so on and so forth. But ultimately, I think where it's currently at, anyone can push it as far as they want. But from a marketer side, I think maybe that would be an important, reason to choose one or the other. Which one would you say, Mikey? Like, as an agency, which one do we have the easiest time integrating with? Which gives us the best analytics? Which is just, the easiest?
Sure. I would say, I mean, I wouldn't look ever further than Shopify.
Yeah,
I think, yeah, this will be my ranking order, and I'll give you like my quick snippet reasons for it. And yeah, people may disagree, but I'd go Shopify first. I would say from a rigidity point of view, it never breaks. It's the most rigid. It's super easy for anything you want to do in marketing, whether you want to add a little pop-up plugin, or a little spinning disc which says spin and win. To do stuff is super easy, and it's made for e-commerce first. Where we'll get to WooCommerce or WordPress next, but which is really like panel beaten to be made for e-commerce. So Shopify for me, like I would never do anything but Shopify.
yeah, agreed,
And it's even been proven
agreed.
on the like the checkout page. The checkout conversion rate is better on Shopify than any other platform. Um, Speed is there. Like it's just for me built right for e-commerce. And I think the
Yeah,
one mistake people make is that they think it's only for small companies. Like you can still make Shopify look amazing. You can still go away from the templated type of look. I think it's a mistake when companies don't choose it. I then go WooCommerce or WordPress, and then I'd go, if I have to choose, I'd probably go. I was going to think. I'm not sure if I'd go Magento or Wix. But I wouldn't go there. But that would be my bottom of the pile. What do you think?
yeah, agreed. Yeah, I love Shopify. I had to build a site the other day, and honestly, it took me, and I got a pretty decent site. I think it took me less than an hour to build an entire website and upload all the product images and upload all the descriptions and everything. Yeah, Shopify is by far the market, or in my opinion, at least, the market leader when it comes to the right or an e-commerce platform to choose, especially because they take all of their data out of everyone that's using the platform to upgrade all of their products. Their real world analytics, real world changes. And as a marketer, that's my philosophy that I believe, and I like working with a company that follows the same philosophy.
Yeah. And and uh, and why? Just what's your view? Why Shopify over WooCommerce or over WordPress?
Yeah, it's way simpler. Like WordPress is still quite a difficult. Like they've got buggy plugins, they've got you know
Yeah.
lots of little different issues that come up. I've never actually really had like nitpicky issues or bugs with Spotify. Sorry, not Spotify,
Yeah,
Shopify. I keep saying Spotify
yeah,
with Shopify,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that the fact that
And I
they've even
think
gone and they've like bought a bit of Klaviyo, for example. Did they buy Klaviyo outright, or did they own a percentage of Klaviyo that it's
they bought
fully
it outright.
integrated with?
Yeah, yeah. I think
Exactly,
they
exactly.
bought
Like
it
they
outright. Yeah,
exactly that's one of the most powerful emailing marketing tools for an e-commerce brand. And now this brand owns it, so the integrations are just it just goes further. So
yeah,
out of all of them,
yeah,
choose Shopify.
yeah. And I think just the last point on this, I think the mistake brands make. I see there isn't a brand I've seen that's on Magento that couldn't have done what they did on Magento on Shopify. I think it's still viewed very wrongly by brands that it's a small business or small e-commerce type site, where it's not. Again, whether you need tons of integrations, you can do that in Shopify, and you can find so many more developers that are able to do that in Shopify than you can on Magento. Um, yeah, I'd love to see any South African brand that an actual real reason for being on Magento.
Yeah. Shopify all the way. Like, I mean, look again. Like, you can get the other ones to work. It's just, at the end of the day, it's going to sum down to what you're the most comfortable on, and who's going to be responsible for, managing and maintaining the website. Shopify has the advantage that it's so user friendly that you can just jump on and see what's going on, or make changes as a small business owner, but then also know what's going on as a large business owner or a large store. Whereas if you go down as we said, in the custom route, geez, if you can figure that out, unless you have a degree or you really do know coding, that's impressive. Yeah. Otherwise, the other one's also a little bit more difficult to use. So yeah, at the end of the day, whatever you're most comfortable on, whatever's going to be the easiest experience for you to manage, that's probably going to be your best bet.
Cool. All right. So in a nutshell, guys, use Shopify. If you, for some reason, don't know how to use Shopify, use WordPress and WooCommerce. And if you don't have an ability to use either of those, then don't use any of the others. Like it's either those two or nothing. So that's kind of the podcast summary in a nutshell.